Today we're going to be talking about video game to movie transitions. That's right, baby. We're doing some transitioning. Wait, pause? Alright, let's get back into it. Now, since the beginning of video games, there really has been a lot of overlap between either movies coming to games and becoming video games, or video games then becoming movies. Now, the previous on the ladder, there's been some success. You've got the Chronicles of Riddick games, which are fantastic, the X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is even better than the movie, and you've seen some real success for movies coming to games. But on the other side, for a very, very long time, there has not been great adaptations. Now, there's been some guilty pleasure flicks, such as the Resident Evil movies. I actually like the first couple. I know they're not good, but I like them. And then even like the Lara Croft movies with Angelina Jolie. I mean, yeah, am I kind of gooning over it? Absolutely, because I think Angelina Jolie's hot. And if you haven't seen the movie Gia, go look that up. But I at the end of the day, I know they're not good adaptations. And even though John Leguizamo will go and do 1,000 interviews about how his Mario movie was a progressive masterpiece of diversity, it's not a good film. It is Mario in the Blade Runner universe, which makes absolutely no sense why those two would ever overlap. But the directors wanted that to happen, and that's what we got. And even some of the ones that are loved and held dear to the heart, like the Mortal Kombat movie, at the end of the day, it wasn't a great adaptation. It was a watered down version of Mortal Kombat. But now, in today's day and date, we're starting to see some really good adaptations, and I think that kind of started with the Sonic film. As much as The Rock would like to say his Rampage movie was fantastic, it's just a shitty monster flick that has The Rock in it, and I don't think it's that great. But you look at the first real ball thing that got the ball rolling, I'd have to say it's the Sonic movie. And it's funny, considering when that trailer dropped, it was awful. You had Sonic with sheep head fish mouth, and then you had like these weird buggy eyes. I mean, Sonic looked fucked off. He looked like he was on a bunch of meth and was about to run because he'd done so much meth. And the makers of the show got so much backlash that they decided to listen to fans and make Sonic look the way he should. And the end product ended up being pretty great. It's honestly one of the best like cartoon character in the real world type movies, and that's a whole genre within itself. And then when the sequel came out, I have to say, I think the second Sonic movie is fucking all sorts of slapping clit. It is a clit slapping like master. I love that movie. And don't get me wrong, we're still having our stumbles here and there, like the Uncharted movie, which is funny that Mark Wahlberg's in the Uncharted movie, and he was also in the really bad Max Payne movie, which again is one of my guilty pleasures, because I actually watched the movie before I ever played the game. So I legitimately thought that the game was about fighting like drug demons, and then I played the game and it's really not that at all. I mean, it has some overlap between the two, but at the end of the day, the Max Payne movie is still incredibly garbage. But you do see today how we are going in a better direction. They're starting to look at these IPs as more than just like a character they can slap on the front of the box and then do whatever the fuck they want with. They are starting to finally be able to adapt these to the silver screen, and we get something good out of it. One of the great examples too, even though I don't personally like what they did with the game to movie or TV show adaptation, is The Last of Us. For the most part, The Last of Us still stays true to most of the characters, with the exception of the Brokeback Mountain in the Apocalypse episode. And I know you're gonna get mad at me because, oh, I'm being homophobic because I don't like that episode. I actually like the episode by itself in a vacuum. I think it's a very good episode. My problem with that little bit of retconning in that area of the game is they took that character who used to be incredibly essential to the plot and how they progressed the story with the main characters of Joel and Ellie and reduced him to nothing. It is a filler episode. You can skip that episode and absolutely lose nothing from the actual story at hand. Yeah, he got a battery from his garage, but they don't actually interact with him whatsoever. And for me, I felt like that sacrificed a bit of the plot there, and I would have liked to see them actually like interact with the characters, and then maybe they killed themselves. I think that would have been a better rewrite. But as it sat, I just felt like a filler. It felt like it didn't matter, and I don't like that they did that to that character. And another thing that I had issues with The Last of Us show is the lack of actual zombies and stuff took away from the tension that the game had, so the show doesn't quite have the same amount of like horror and tension. But for the most part, like I said, I think they did a pretty decent job. And then I look at like some of the things that I thought were smacked out of the park, like the Mario movie, the modern one. I thought that was an absolute fucking blast. I had fun from the beginning to end in that film, and I just wanted to see where we could go. And right after that, we got the Twisted Metal show. And if you haven't seen the Twisted Metal show, because most people probably haven't, because it's on Peacock, and I don't know who the fuck is out there like, oh, I gotta have Peacock. But luckily my wife has it for like weird TV shows that she likes, because she'll watch anything that has doctors in it. I think secretly she's gooning behind my back to like a fucking doctor scrub. She keeps them in a secret closet and then just rubs herself really raw. But I'm not sure. I'd have to like set up secret cameras in my house, which I'm not willing to do. If she wants to jerk off to some doctor clothes, that's fine with me. But the Twisted Metal show really had something that a lot of these other adaptations didn't have the ability to do. You see, the original Twisted Metal games didn't really have that much of a story. They had like little backgrounds for all the characters you could do, but at the end of the day, it was a fighting game with cars. That's really all it was, and you went through a tournament. Well, the actual show goes pre-tournament and actually builds on these characters that you're hoping to see in the next seasons, or when they actually do the tournament, and it actually builds on it, so you get this deeper lore, and it still keeps that tongue-in-cheek vibes that the games had. And I thought it was an absolutely badass fun ride. It felt like how the Fast and Furious movies used to feel before they became like international guys who stop bad guys, and I don't know what they're doing now, but it feels fun. It was engaging. I had a blast with it. I was actually laughing at a lot of parts, truly cared about the main characters and what was going to happen to them. I felt like the Twisted Metal show was absolutely perfect for what they could have done with that certain IP. And when I saw that show, I started thinking about how the Fallout show, which had already been announced and already had the director of Westworld, which the first season of Westworld is some of the best TV you will ever see. I never watched the rest of the show, but I do know that the first season was awesome. It was fucking fantastic. Chef's kiss, jerk off in a closet, having a great time. It was all the things that could be had. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And when I heard that the Fallout show already had that director, I was already getting good vibes. And Todd Howard came out and said, we're wanting this to be canonically in the series. This is going to be canon. And I was already excited for that, because even though I'm not the biggest fan of Neil Druckmann, just having him on board with The Last of Us show, I knew there would be some hope. And yeah, I wasn't ecstatic with the final product, but I think it was good overall. So knowing that Todd Howard would have some input was good to me. And a lot of people don't like Todd Howard, and they don't like Bethesda for some reason, and they think that Fallout was worse because of him. Well, here, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The best game that a lot of people say in the Fallout series is New Vegas. And, well, shocker, that game would not exist without Bethesda. A lot of people like to pretend that that's not true and make up whatever excuses they have to make, but I'm sorry, without Bethesda's assets, without Bethesda's engine, without Bethesda's okay to Obsidian to go and make a DLC, which would then become its own game, there would be no New Vegas. I mean, it started as a DLC, then became its new game. They used a ton of assets from the first Fallout 3 game and to make this game happen on such a short amount of time. They didn't craft it from the ground up. It was basically it wasn't a glorified mod, but it was a step above a glorified mod. It was a AAA mod, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I think a lot of people get up in their feelings about weird transitions between companies. And then when Fallout 76 came out, there was a lot of weird hate that anything Bethesda put out was going to get hate regardless, and it was kind of in vogue to hate them. So when people saw that Todd Howard was going to be involved, well, the rumors started to create, oh, well, they're going to retcon New Vegas. And then that hit a boiling point when the show actually came out, and I'm doing this now to kind of get ahead of when I talk about the Fallout show, because that was the main purpose of me doing this video, was to kind of talk about adaptations up to this point, and then talk about the Fallout show. But when you actually look at what kind of the drama went on, was in the end of one episode, it showed New Vegas dead. And that makes sense, because the show like kind of talks about how the NCR falls and how each of these different factions want to save the world, but they have different ideas for how, and then these factions end up fighting, and then nukes end up happening, and shit hits the fan. And spoilers, I'm fully gonna spoil a lot of this show, but spoilers here, it shows New Vegas at the very last scene of the show. So New Vegas is still around. That narrative is absolutely fucking stupid. it. It is these fanboys of Fallout New Vegas and Bethesda haters that are going out there and making these false narratives online and spreading a ton of confusion about this show. I think that is something that needs to be said, and more people need to talk about it instead of shoving it under the rug and pretending like this has any actual merit. There was a timeline. This takes place way after New Vegas. New Vegas is still very canon, so that is absolutely a moot point, and anybody still spreading that is absolutely a mental midget and needs to actually go out and do real research, or actually watch the show. Go watch the show and form your own opinion on it instead of piggybacking off of a bunch of fucking screenshots. But again, at the end of the day, what really mattered to me was the fact that this show was going to be canonical, and it had some of the actual people who had worked on the Fallout series involved hands-on. I liked that. I had a feeling deep inside that what they were going to do with this show is they were going to pick a different time in the future that doesn't interfere with any of the other games, and then go from there. And that's exactly what they did. They went years and years into the future after Fallout New Vegas, after Fallout 4, and made this game, or made this show, and I think that it is so fantastic. Now, the show actually takes place 277 years after the bombs dropped, and throughout the show it will have flashbacks going back to the one of the main characters who was a ghoul in the show, and I love Walter Goggins. I think he's a fantastic actor. He was perfect for this role, and it goes back to him when he was an actor back in the day, and he was married to a woman that worked at Vault-Tec, and just the whole interactions he's having with them. There was one part of the show I wasn't like fully into, and it was the whole like actors and communism thing, because they go to like a communism meeting, and I think that he did have the right take where it was like, you guys are full of shit. And I do think it's funny that it kind of makes it seem like he sided with these communists, but at the end of the day, I'm not like saying he didn't, but I do think it's funny how it's like, oh well, my wife might be lying, oh well, I might as well be a communist now. That is, for me, that's not the mental jump I would make. I would definitely be curious about what my wife is doing and what this company is actually doing that might be evil, and I would be curious about that. I want to find out about that, but I'm not going to change my principles to another failed idea, which is communism, which is just, instead of these companies having the power, you then give it to the government, which the government can never do anything good. But that's enough of my political rant on that. That was the only kind of downside I had in the entire show. I think that communism is a stupid ideal, and it's just like hating these corporations, but now you're giving the power to the government instead, and the government can't do anything fucking right. We spent like billions of dollars to find out guns are more accurate with scopes. Go look that shit up. But this whole conversation here, before I get too deep into the show, brings in the second drama with this show, is that all the Go Woke, Go Broke creators came out and started lambasting this show because it's woke now, I guess. But obviously you didn't play the previous Fallout games, because all of the Fallout games have this parody on American exceptionalism and on the fact that capitalism bad. That is just kind of what all these games kind of are leading to, and if you actually pay attention to the notes, you kind of realize that Vault-Tec is behind it all, and the show even goes into how Vault-Tec is behind it all. People have been assuming for years that was the truth, that Vault-Tec caused the bombs to fall in order to make their vaults necessity, and it kind of shows how these other companies had these vaults and kind of steered humanity in these weird fucking directions, such as the Vault of Greg. If you don't know about that, you need to go play these Fallout games. But there's an actual vault that is just full of clones of this one guy named Gary. It's not Greg, it's Gary. It is hilarious. They are all fucking psychopaths, and they just want to like bend you over a post, stab you to death, and then have sex with you. They don't really want to have sex with you, but I think that would be funny if they did. It was like, Gary wants to fuck you. That would have been good. That was a missed opportunity, Bethesda. They're not edgy enough for that. Come on now. But you actually look at the old Fallout games, they do have this political satire going through all of them. 1 through 4, they have this satire going, and if you didn't see that before and you're now calling woke on this show, you didn't pay that much attention. The thing about me and how I feel about a lot of this woke garbage, as long as the show doesn't stop or the game doesn't stop to lecture me for 30 minutes about how I'm a piece of shit for not thinking the exact same way the developers want me to think, I am absolutely fine with a lot of this shit that I don't agree with. As long as the narrative is done well enough, I'm there to enjoy the narrative, and I think the Fallout show as a whole did that. It did that and I was able to disconnect my personal beliefs and my personal thoughts on things, because it didn't shove it in my face. I looked at it as this weird world that I have no connection to, and I still enjoyed it at the end of the day. And that's how I looked at the Fallout games overall. And I think a lot of people would be okay if the studios in Hollywood and these game developers would just realize you can make something with a great narrative and still have some of your own personal biases throughout the story, and that's okay as long as you craft something really well made. At the end of the day, I'm going to enjoy it, and if the story's good enough, I might not agree with some of the deeper messaging, but I might still love your game. And that's kind of what I did with this show, and it goes to show that a lot of these people who yell online will probably never watch the Fallout show now because some people called it woke, and it's the same people who are like, I used to be a Fallout fan and then I watched this show and now I know it's woke garbage. It's like, it's always been there. You're just fucking closing your eyes and pretending it's not and going and shooting a super mutant. Like, come on, man. You don't have to dig as deep as you're digging into this shit to jump to these conclusions. And that goes along with people saying that the main actress isn't attractive, because she absolutely is. She has those please fuck me in the mouth eyes, and I know you're like, oh, that's sexist to say. I'm a comedian, bro. I'm gonna say crude shit all the time. I made a joke about my wife jerking off to fucking Dr. Scrubs, so come on, man. You really expect any better from me? I literally stopped to talk to this prostitute in New Vegas on screen right here, and then leave, and I will later come back just to watch her like strip on the corner because I thought it was kind of hot. But the main actress in this show is very hot, and I did love some of the humor she had when she was about to have sex. Like the first time she's like, okie dokie, and then she just gets her brains fucked out and then cuts the dude's face in fucking half. That's another thing. This show does not like walk away from gore. It has the fucking gore turned up to 11, and I love to see that. I feel like we need more gore in games and shows. It adds fucking edge, and I'm always there for that. And another time, she actually like looks at one of the other main characters and is like, do you want to fuck me? And he's been a part of the Brotherhood of Steel, which is like this weird cult. It always has been. And he's like, I don't know, because sometimes my penis gets hard and then it pops like a pimple. And she's like, oh, that's supposed to happen. So, and he's like, well, no, I don't want to fuck you. She's like, okily dokily. And it's just funny. The humor never comes out of left field, and it's never over like weighing down on you. It always feels perfectly timed, and it fits within the Fallout universe. And I think that they ran that line of being serious and goofy at the same time, just like the Fallout games feel. And I loved that. It was perfect to the Fallout IP. This is the first time I had jumped into a show other than Twisted Metal to where I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. It didn't feel like I was watching something I'd already seen before. It was something new, and it still had ties to something I loved, and every moment of it was perfect. And the main story of this show actually follows a girl that's going after her dad, much like Fallout 3, but it takes such different turns and does such different things with it. Instead of him being the savior, he's this piece of shit, like corporate stooge, but like the douchey ones that don't have a spine to stand up for themselves, that are always somebody else's bitch. He's kind of got that vibes. And now that once something in his life kind of didn't go his way, he fucking decides to level an entire town, and it just works with his character. He's just slimy, but you don't know he's slimy because he's fake on the outside, which is what tons of these people are anymore today. They're all fucking vibrato in 1 second, but then the next second they're being little bitches. And I love that character development there. I love a lot of the character development here. I love how Walter Goggins' character is just so broke down from what he's had to deal with for these hundreds of years that he's just this fucking monster now. And he's willing to look at the main character and be like, you will turn into me. I love that aspect because he's kind of that evil Clint Eastwood. Like, he's the evil version of the man who... the man with no name, and the evil version of the man with no name. I loved that because it pulls that Western inspiration that Fallout's always had into the mainframe, and it's got this good, the bad, and the ugly vibe, and I think that's what the director was going for, but in the Fallout universe, but with some really good twists, and it never stops being entertaining from start to finish, and that's exactly what I wanted, and I'm so excited for Season 2 of this show. I think they really knocked it out of the fucking park here, and if you're one of the people that are going out there and seeing, like, them complain about it being woke, or, oh, they retcon New Vegas, which both of those things are just fucking stupid arguments from people who really didn't pay attention to the show, or really just wanted to get clicks online, this show is actually good. Go watch it for yourself. Formulate your own opinion, because I think this is the best video game to TV adaptation we've gotten yet. Hands down, this fucking knocks it out of the park. And I feel like we're going to be in the golden age here soon of video game TV adaptations. I really feel like we're starting to become, or not become, more like coming. We're coming right onto the brink, and that's right, we're grabbing hold of that shaft, and we're coming hard right onto the brink of getting great adaptations. I mean, I'm even hearing that the Halo Season 2 was much better, which I much better than the first season isn't a huge leap, and I will eventually watch the show and give you my thoughts on it, or maybe I won't. I mainly do retrospectives on this channel, and I thought that this kind of went with the broader stroke of going through the actual timeline of these adaptations and kind of going into the drama surrounding this show, because there has been a shit ton of drama, way more drama than this ever needed. And I do like that this show had the ability to cause so much drama without any of it being true or holding any fucking water. Like, how do you make those mental fucking gymnastics? I mean, the people that are saying that she's not attractive, to then people calling it woke because it has some political fucking dialogue in it, which everything in Fallout has had that. And the reason I bring that up, because that argument could hold water. If you have been from the very start, if you have been from day one saying that Fallout is a hyper-political satire on the US and how left-wing politics is the only way to save us, or something like that, I'm not sure. I'm not actually making these arguments. I'm fucking spitballing here from the back of my mind, researching into the depths of what somebody could have done. If you were like that and you were strong fast that the Fallout series has always been woke, maybe I would buy into your arguments. But most of these people are just jumping on the fucking hate train because it's popular right now, and they're like, I used to be this biggest Fallout fan, but then it became woke. Oh no, it's woke. And it's just bullshit. And that's my problem with that argument. And then you look at the people who are saying New Vegas has been retconned, and they're just these Bethesda haters and absolute zealots online that want there to be a problem with it because Todd Howard worked with the director on this show. It's stupid. It doesn't fucking hold water. You are a loser. Go fucking watch the show. Find out that it doesn't retcon New Vegas whatsoever. It takes place way after New Vegas, and enjoy the fucking show, because there is so much here that if you were a Fallout fan, you will be sitting back pointing at the screen. Ooh, that and that. Oh, maybe next season we'll get Deathclaws, and you just get some of the coolest things ever. And it even adds some stuff to the Fallout universe, that like monsters that we haven't previously seen, and they fit inside the Fallout universe so fucking well. And I remember when the trailers were coming out from this show and people were getting mad because, oh, it's gonna be shit because they saw an overseer with one eye. In the show, it makes so much fucking sense why he has one eye. That is not like the main vault. That is like a sub vault. And it just builds on the whole narrative of what the games have been trying to accomplish with the secret notes you'll read in some of these facilities at Robco and in different vaults from Vault-Tec. You'll see that you get to see a lot of the stuff that's been behind the mirror that we've been like dying to find out. You get that in the show, and it's so great. It's such a amazing thing to have all these ideas in the back of your head when you're playing the Fallout game, and then to see those ideas where you were right and they're realized on screen. It's fucking amazing. It's so glorious. If you are a Fallout fan and you have loved the games forever and you go and watch this show, you will have so much to fucking sink your teeth in. It is perfect. And the drama online around it has just made me so mad that I felt like that was another reason I had to make this video and kind of detail where video games shows have come to now, and how now we're nitpicking shit that doesn't need to be nitpicked just for the sake of clicks online, instead of celebrating the fact that we have this great achievement sitting there on our TVs and it's a fucking masterpiece. And yet we're gonna complain, oh, well, I saw a clip where the ghoul has a hold of the power armor and is swinging around, and how are you able to move a 4-ton power armor in there like that? In the show itself, the guy's already losing control because he shot a part of the power armor, or cut it. I think it was cut to where his fucking Iron Man abilities are now fucking sitting in the corner jerking off while his wife is getting shot. He got cucked. So now that he's cucked, he doesn't really have control over the armor anymore. Not to mention that his character had never used armor other than like 5 minutes earlier. It has this whole, all these characters that all this stuff you're seeing online where they're nitpicking the shit from a clip they saw earlier on their Twitter feed or earlier on Instagram or YouTube, and then making an entire assumptions when the show's there for you to fucking watch. If you watch it, it makes sense in context. I have seen people who have shit on this that are people who are about the context of arguments, and they are here making fucking false assumptions when usually they're the people that wants that deeper context just because right now it's popular to do so. And I think it's just fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely a waste of time, and it sucks too because, like I said, we should be celebrating this should be something to celebrate, that we finally got an adaptation that pulls from all of the different Fallout games and lore and made something beautiful with it. If we didn't get another season of this show, I would be happy with what we got. I think it is absolutely wonderful on its own. One thing that I am kind of curious about is where they're going to progress into season 2. I like the way that you find out that the dad's a prick that nuked an entire town because his wife decided to leave him because he was a piece of shit from the beginning. And I also like that he was actually cryo-frozen when the bombs dropped. It ties in that Fallout 4 element, and then the whole narrative about her going after her father has some ties to Fallout 3, as well as just a million other things going on in this game that are in this show that pulls from the games. Those are just some narrative things that I thought were kind of cool crossovers. It just has so much inspiration from so many different Fallout games, and I love that it was able to encompass them all into a greater narrative that we can sit and or sink our teeth into, as well as provide us with some new information that we already kind of had the assumption was true, but now we actually get to see it vitalized into the show. How are we not fucking over the moon about this? How is the gaming community not fucking here to like say, yeah, we're here, baby, this is what we fucking wanted, grab my balls, slap my clit, let's fucking smack some lips, this is what we want? I don't know, man. I don't know. It just really bothers me, and I really am excited to see what we have in the future. And that's past all these naysayers and online arguments. I really want to see what other IPs can be fully realized into the silver screen now, is if they're given the type of justice the Fallout show was given. And now that we really have kind of seen what good shows can be, I know that there's some shows on the horizon and movies on the horizon that I'm not fully excited for, such as the Borderlands project. I think that they just got a bunch of fucking has-beens, threw them on screen, and like, remember, these guys used to be pretty good. And it just doesn't really feel like Borderlands. I don't know. I'll have to wait till the final product is released to give my opinions on it, but I'm not really excited for that. But I am excited to see, like, maybe somebody sees this Fallout show and says, wow, I could fucking take this game over here, and then I can make a great show out of it, and I'll get praised from, like, the majority of people, and critics will love me and want to give me blowjobs on the side. I'm just kidding. That's what caused Gamergate #1, I think. I don't know. I'm not, like, the deepest on the Gamergate lore, but I think it had something to do with somebody blowing somebody, and then like video game journalism. You'll have to let me know in the comments what happened with that. What happened with Gamergate? I don't know. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you at least enjoyed this. I hope that maybe you played with your nipples or something. I don't know. But thank you so much, and I will get back on the regular retrospective starting next week.